Good afternoon, our fans from around the world. It's Formula One fanatics. Today, we want to do a spotlight on the two brilliantly precocious talented drivers from McLaren, Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris. We want to look at their strengths, their weaknesses, and their team strategy. And we need to do that is Mustafa Ginodu. Mustafa, you're
All right.
welcome to the show.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Formula One Fanatics. We always go against the grain. We a lot of times people want to talk about, emotional things going on in F1 or the big stories like Russell getting losing his race, not losing his race, but getting disqualified because of being too light. But we focus on other things. So today the angle that we're going to take is with Piastri and Norris. Now, Afolabi, in my opinion, I can't even say who's better. I think the general consensus, especially from Baba Wolf, is that Norris is the better all-round driver, and they should focus on Norris. I'm not so sure. I want to see what your insights are. I'm taking a neutral position right now. Yeah.
Well, personally, I think in terms of racecraft, they're almost on the same level. But
Yeah.
but I think Lando Norris edges Piastri slightly because he entered Formula One earlier than Piastri, and so he has more experience than Piastri.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
But here's the
basically,
thing. So
yeah,
go ahead. Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
both of them are young talents with promising futures. Norris has
Yeah.
more experience in F1, which gives him an edge in terms of racecraft and understanding the intricacies of the sport at the highest level. Piastri, however, being new to F1, also is remarkably adaptable and has the potential to even surpass Norris. So it's a toss of coin between both of them, but ultimately, because of the kind of team they find themselves, the team tends to prioritize team performance over drivers' accolades. So because of that, it may be difficult. They don't engender those kind of ethos in their team. But personally, I think Norris is slightly better just because of his experience. He came to F1 earlier than Piastri.
Yeah, and there's not much difference between the ages. I think there's a 1 year difference in ages, but one thing I like to remind people is that some people mature later or develop later on the stage. For example, if we had Piastri on the same team as Verstappen, I think Verstappen's 28 and Piastri is like 24. If someone says, "Oh, Piastri has more experience," yes, but in the long run, I have more experience than my son. I'm 50. My son is, I'm using an exaggeration, he's 15. But the question is, who has the most potential for the future?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and like you said, it's very close. I think Norris has a slight, and when I say slight, I mean very slight advantage on racecraft. But I think that comes through experience. And I think that Norris, who's the opposite of no, Piastri, who's the opposite of Norris. Norris is an extrovert. Very
Yeah.
nice guy. I'm not saying that's bad, but he's extroverted. He's a nice person, but it's like, look what I'm doing. Look what I'm doing. Norris is very introverted and just keeps quiet and seems to be doing his work. And it seems as if he's been outscoring Norris the past. I think they said they did the data. Norris and Piastri are outscoring everybody. Not Norris, Piastri and what's his name from Sainz. They actually outscoring everybody the last 6 weeks or so,
Yes,
along with
yes,
Lewis
yes, yes.
Hamilton.
Yes,
But
the
Sainz is the
most
same thing,
improved,
quiet.
most
But
improved, most
yeah,
improved drivers.
and I heard that when Norris is in the when he's driving, when he's behind the wheel, he doesn't talk unless he's talked to, and then even when he just says, "Okay, yes, sir," or "No, sir," you get my point. Everything he doesn't see, he's a focus. So I think not Signs. I think Piastri has a calmer head and is more detached and unemotional and able to drive. And also here he's very witty, so he'll make funny jokes in which he's insulting the guy.
Exactly,
He's
exactly.
insulting the engineer, but he does it in a playful way, which means that he doesn't take any of this personally. Whereas I think
Yes,
Norris takes it personally. I think Norris has the edge on overall talent, but it's very close, very close. And
I quite
my
agree with you.
yeah,
Piastri
but
is the
what I would
calmer
say,
and more methodical
yeah.
driver.
So my main conclusion now is that it's impossible to ask Norris to be a number two driver. No, not Norris, Piastri. It
Piastri,
is
yes.
impossible. If it was a deficit like between Perez and Verstappen, but Piastri is good enough so that they can't do team orders. What I mean
Yes.
is that they can't give preference. They can't give preference.
They can't
And a
give
lot of people are
preference.
saying, and I think they said the mistake that McLaren made was to sign Piastri after you have Norris, if you want Norris to be your number one. But if I were McLaren, I wouldn't get rid of either of them. And I think Zach Brown, who cares more about the constructor than the driver's title, doesn't mind losing a driver's title if he can win a constructors. And you can do it with these two guys. What do you think?
I
Yeah.
agree with you, and they made it abundantly clear after that race that I think it was Andre Stella, the team principal. He made it abundantly clear that here in McLaren, we prioritize team performance over whatever it is the driver wants to
Yes.
do. And
Yeah.
whatever driver is not, supportive of that will be shown the
They can
way
leave.
out.
They can
They
leave.
can
Yeah.
leave. So they made it very, very clear. So a driver that is more aggressive and more temperamental and wants to win, team
Yeah.
orders are good, but a driver that is more temperamental and more aggressive and wants to win will probably not be driving for McLaren.
Yeah, and I think in the end of the day, it could be either we see one thing about Piastri, we don't know what's in his head. Piastri may already be thinking, one day I want to drive for
He's
Red Bull,
very
'cause
unassuming. That's true.
he's unassuming. Very slick guy. He's slick. So what I'm saying is that it appears like Norris would be the type who would say, I want to jump to another team, but I don't know. I think, but what I would say is that my guess is that if Norris continues to, if Piastri starts beating Norris, they still won't do preference. Let's say
No,
Piastri
no,
beats
no, no.
Norris for a title, then
No, they
Piastri
won't
will
do
stay.
preference. They
Piastri
won't do
will just stay
preference.
with. So, but I think if Russell starts losing, not Russell, Norris, if Norris starts losing to Piastri over and over again, I still don't think he has the bravery to say I'm going to jump to another team. This is an interesting. What do you think? Do you think Norris would leave to another team?
I don't think so.
Let's say that
I don't think
no.
so. You know why? Because right now they have the fastest car. If
Yeah,
if
yeah.
if that car remains as fast as it is, and that car continues to compete at
They
that
will win
level,
next year. They'll win next year.
they will win next year. But if somehow the Red Bull car or Mercedes becomes better, then they might have to ditch their strategy of team over driver.
Yes. So now we've come to the final conclusion, which I didn't have this conclusion until you came up with it. The team owner, the team CEO, whoever, Zach Brown knows that they have by far the fastest car,
The
and he knows
fastest
that
car,
they
yes.
can win, and he knows that they can win the constructors. He knows that Verstappen will most likely win the drivers, but it doesn't matter. And next year, McLaren may be so good that, like with Mercedes, when it was Rosberg and Hamilton, it'll just be a competition between Norris and Piastri because everybody else will be so far behind. But your point, as soon as other cars start to catch up, then he'll rebalance and he'll tell those guys, okay, after the first 6 weeks, after the first six races, whoever's leading is going to be the preferred driver. Fair
Driver,
enough. I
exactly.
think
Yes.
McLaren, a lot. This is why I say we do counter narratives, and we thank you for this. Our counter narrative is that what McLaren is doing is making sense because they have the luxury to do it because they have a faster car,
They have a
a
good, very
far
good
faster
car.
car.
Yes,
What are your
yes,
thoughts,
yes.
Afalabi? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So that's just my thinking. Once the performance of the MCL 35 begins to deteriorate and other teams catch up on them, they'll have to begin to look at who has the better racecraft and then put their weight behind that driver.
Yeah,
But then, but
and I
then
just
again,
think that go ahead. Yeah.
recent performances have shown that Norris cannot be trusted. He finishes qualifying in a very good position, but he throws away the advantage and he cannot
Yeah,
convert
start with the
that
start.
into,
Yeah.
yes, he can't convert that into a race win, which Piastri is one area I think Piastri is a bit better. Piastri is a
Oh
bit
yeah,
more
because
careful and methodical.
Piastri doesn't have emotions. And Baba Windsor said that at the start of the race, you don't want to be thinking anything except for performance. And he's also saying that Norris is also thinking, oh, my teammate, oh, Vettel. So no, not Vettel, Verstappen. So Norris is thinking about, and also he's thinking about last week I had a bad start. Sort of like a striker. If you miss a goal as a striker, you can't remember that you missed it or missed a penalty. You can't remember the last one. You have to be focused. So I don't think
Of
Norris is
course.
zoned in at the start. And
Yeah,
and I
sure.
think also Norris is one of those types of drivers that needs to have no competition in order to do well. Speaking of which, like Verstappen,
Yeah,
I think he loves to have Perez by his side.
yeah,
But
sure.
that's a
Sure.
story for another day. Very quickly, last 3 minutes or so. I'm going to say this very quickly, man. Russell right now is the hottest property for for Mercedes, and to me, he's top 4 drivers in the world, along with Hamilton, Alonso, Verstappen, Norris, and then Russell. Would you agree? I think they're
Yes,
the top.
yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
agree with you.
And so they have that, and they have him, and he's been winning. There's a statement that the whites used to like to use, and the Europeans: a bird in the hand beats 2 in the bush, which means if you have one bird in your hand, don't go chase the other one, then you lose both. They need to focus on and sign. They're not supposed to sign Russell till next year. They need to sign Russell now. Then they need to make up their mind between Antonelli and Verstappen. Personally, I think they just need to keep Antonelli because Antonelli is the future, or they need to make up their mind and say, okay, we're going to get rid of Russell and try to get Verstappen and Antonelli. But there's no guarantee you're going to get Verstappen. So dance with the women you came with. You have Russell now. Keep him and focus on. And what I mean by that is that Toto Wolff is openly talking to Verstappen and talking to Antonelli, and it's making Russell feel as if he's left out. So what I'm saying is that Toto Wolff, if you want to get those 2 guys, it's okay, but do it quietly so that we won't know about it until 3 years later. So that right now you keep Russell happy because you might need him because you may not be able to get Verstappen. Do you see what I'm saying? What are your thoughts, Falabi?
Yes, I agree with you for 3 reasons. Number one, Russell's talent is undoubtedly proven. He has already
Yes,
demonstrated,
very quickly.
except
He won GP3 and FP2 on first try, and
yes.
Formula 2. Yeah.
So he's not trying to show you that he's a good driver. We know that already. So he's
And he
showcasing his
won 3
potential.
championships. No,
He won
done 3 Grand Prix because I consider him the winner of the last Grand
Yes.
Prix. Yeah.
So what you need to do is to develop him to build on his existing performance and yield quicker results. Now,
Yeah.
in terms of continuity, you don't want to upset the apple cart for a driver who is already familiar with team dynamics and offers stability and
Yeah.
continuity. So investing in known quantity might be wiser in his case, and then long-term development. And it's more cost efficient. I think they should leave Antonelli for now, continue to develop him and monitor his progress. But I think the person they should back and throw their weight behind now is George Russell. I think I agree with you on that.
And personally, here's what I would do. I would just bring Antonelli because Antonelli is young and he's probably, I don't want to say anything, the champion of the future. But Antonelli will not be able to beat Russell for the next 5 years. I think it would disrupt the chemistry too much if they brought in Verstappen.
Yes, and it would discourage that young driver. It may not be good for
Let me tell you the truth. Verstappen should be talking to McLaren because I think McLaren would get rid of Norris for Verstappen.
And then again, loyalty and team morale should count for something.
And Russell is loyal. And also Russell is a British driver. You know, people are saying that they're saying that we're finishing now. We're going to end on this. They're saying that Russell is not marketable like Antonelli because Antonelli is a young, fine boy. He's not marketable like Verstappen. So that's why they don't want him. But Formula One is not about marketing. It's about winning.
About race wins.
And I think it's time for the FIA to stop taking this circus mentality where they take money over victories. I mean, take money over tradition and sacred and the religious part of Formula One. The religious part of Formula One is that regardless of whether you're marketable or not, if you're Schumacher or Senna or whoever and you're winning, you deserve to be right there. Same thing. Sainz does not deserve to be driving with Williams. So take us out in 1 minute. Thank you. Okay, brilliant show.
Okay, so it's been a wonderful time again discussing McLaren and then team strategy, as well as telling Mercedes-Benz, please keep Russell. Please keep Russell.
I think that's the final thing. And also good job to McLaren for the balance between constructors and drivers. Yeah, so go ahead. Yeah.
So, and it's on this note that we round up our show, and we'll see you next time with another big Formula One story.
Thank you.